What's up, everyone? Lincoln here with Gordon. Day number 2 of the FloTrack Podcast, my premiere debut after I called it late audible. Yesterday, you guys reviewed some of USA's, talked a little NCAA indoors. I'll call it conspiracy theories. You can call it whatever you want. We'll talk more of that today. Gordon, first off, how are you?
Doing good. Another day in the life of living this world.
Okay.
That's my
I think everyone can say that.
philosophical take.
Yeah. So got back from USA's on Sunday. Of course, there's a lot else going on. People running fast other parts of the world. Mondo Duplantis jumping super, super high. What do we want to talk about first? There's a lot. I gave a brief peek at what you guys were talking about yesterday. I think the world is starting to catch on to your. I wouldn't even say it's your anymore. I mean, NAU does have a serious shot to win NCAA indoors because basically everyone else has disappointed so far this year. The point total is going to be quite low.
Speaking of that, on Monday, the USTF-CCA computer rating system ranked NAU number 1.
Yeah.
And normally they're never like on par with the way we do our rankings.
Sure.
But now that, and I always am anti what they say.
Yeah.
But now that they agree with what I say, I'm super pro what they say. So, you know.
I mean, hey, it just takes them just putting your thoughts up to the top for you to finally agree with US. You famously had a beef with them in the past with how the coaches do things. Maybe the coaches are reading our side a little bit more.
Here's a text from one of the coaches of NAU. I texted them an article to Don't Look Now. NAU Lumberjacks could win NCAA indoors, and the response was, it's possible.
It'd be sure interesting after losing to BYU at cross country. You think of NAU only as a cross country team, but now with so many guys running so fast, and Day, Beamish, and Grijalva running 2 events each.
What would be more impressive, them pulling off the 4-peat, or them winning indoors against all the Power 5, sprint, and jump schools?
Well, I mean, the most impressive is still BYU beating NAU, but yeah, I mean, it would be more impressive than them 4-peating, I would certainly think. Now, we all know indoors is kind of like a fantasy thing. It's not, I mean, track in itself as a scored thing is kind of ridiculous.
Yes,
as we all talked about, jumpers going up against distance runners, and that's exactly what it is. But indoors, especially so, such a short thing, just a 2-day meet, and then, I mean, I guess outdoors is just the same, but so many less events. And the fact that distance runners can, I don't know, it's as we kind of spoke about last year, when Wisconsin had a really good team on the men's side, and they were basically trying to do it with Ollie Hoare and Morgan McDonald, it doesn't resemble anything with the team. Now, NAU has more bodies, so I guess it's closer to that. And then when you also take out the fact that Grant Holloway's no longer at Florida, Texas Tech isn't nearly as good, this is a big opportunity for them. And obviously LSU doesn't have Mondo Duplantis and several sprinters, so they could do it. What do
you think of Mondo? What do you think? So he jumped 6'18", which is over 20 feet, right?
Well over 20 feet, yeah.
What do you go off of? Are you a metric?
Oh, I just go off the meters. I mean, you got to go off the meters, right? Yeah. It's more compact. Now, I know we don't talk in meters and regular things. It's not like I'm like, I don't know how many meters tall I am, but you got to go for meters in track and field.
Or how many kilograms you weigh?
I prefer stones.
Okay. What is a stone?
That's a good question. You caught me napping there. I don't actually know what that is. But it's like an English measurement, right?
But an English measurement is kilogram. Oh no, it's like super English.
Yeah, like I don't want to. I could be showing my ignorance. It could be. I think it's like Old English type of thing.
Okay.
But I think they still use it. I could be totally wrong here. But yeah, what are we saying?
So like in high school, you probably were thinking feet, right?
I didn't pay attention to the field events in high school. I mean, not at all. No, because I think the point though is valid there. But I didn't pay attention because it'd be like, and they just set a new school record at 15 feet, 3 inches, 3 3/4. It's just like you have no concept of that. And obviously that takes just getting more involved in the sport and on the professional level, being actually impressed by field events. Because let's be honest, in high school, field events were super boring because you're just like, okay, that just looks like somebody just ran up and jumped into a sand pit, and that wasn't that impressive. But you get to the more, Have you
ever attempted a long jump or a pole vault or thrown a shot?
I mean, a long jump certainly, but all the rest, no. I think I picked up a shot put. I mean, pole vault, yeah, no.
Here's a take. What's more impressive, Mondo Duplantis 618-meter pole vault, or Aaron Gordon dunking over 7'5"
Well, obviously
taco fall?
One's more culturally appealing, right? Which one is more impressive? Okay, so one, as of right now, we know only one person on Earth can do, which is Mondo, obviously. I assume other NBA players could dunk over taco fall.
But only one has ever done it.
Only one has ever done it. That's a good question. There were a couple dunks in that dunk contest that were way better than just the taco fall, and there were some ones that that just completely blew me away. Mondo, I think, is hurt by a little bit that we just saw him break a world record, and also he's just been jumping high since he was like literally 6 years old. I'll still go with Mondo for now, just because literally right now, obviously he's the only one on Earth that can do what he's doing. I know there's other good pole vaulters, but no one's even coming close. Aesthetically pleasing, which one's better? Obviously the dunks, but...
One thing that interesting, Mondo, he's what, 20?
Yes.
There's like, okay, assuming he has a great run and he wins the Olympics, right?
Yes.
That's a box checked. Olympic title, he's going to check the box of world record holder. He checks the box of NCAA record, NCAA title. He'll probably get the outdoor world record. He's going to check literally every box that there is.
Right.
So, like, what's going to motivate him?
That's a good question.
In, like, 2021, 2022? Like, what's going to motivate him in an off year? Like, do you get up to be like, ooh, I want to jump 619 meters? Does that get you up in the morning?
Well, he has the chance to get... I mean, I would assume he has a chance to get really wealthy. And I don't want to say like in the vein of Bolt, because obviously the 100 is not compared to the pole vault, or the pole vault doesn't compare to the 100. But, you know, he's going to be getting massive appearance fees. First, he's got to deliver on these things first. Yeah. Obviously, you know, he's got the world records, but he doesn't have a gold medal yet. I mean, he's only 20, and he got silver last October. So let's get the gold medal, and then we can talk, because the pole vault at championship meets is, for some reason, even though it's seemingly the same, you know, it seems to, it's not who you think. I mean, it doesn't just seem to be who's like on fire coming into it. It doesn't always work like that. I don't know. Sam Kendricks has kind of figured out the recipe for whatever reason. So I do think Mondo's jumping so well right now. He obviously has a long way to go, but he's jumping so well right now that his performance supersedes all that, you know, the typical things. But what do I think he would have to go forward? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, famously, Michael Phelps won all those golds. This is a different scenario, and he kind of got depressed because it was like, I've somewhat accomplished. There may have been separate issues going on, but it's like, I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish, and there's a chance he does that by 21 here. Because I think he has a chance to get very, very wealthy, basically. Yeah. Maybe that's his motivation, or he just wants to be the greatest of all time. I mean, he's already up in an argument, obviously, by jumping the two best heights ever, indoors or out. But I think you continue to pursue greatness, and obviously get a healthy paycheck coming in, and that's what motivates him.
Because, like, you could say, like, ooh, I want to jump 620, but, like, I feel like that mark doesn't mean much now, because it's like, once you break the world record, you're not breaking a world record anymore, you're just PRing.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, he's got a chance. Yes, of course. I mean, he's going to jump again tomorrow, so we'll see. But, I mean, he's with how high he was above the bar.
It's like he's got a foot.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a very good chance to just putting it to an astronomical level. Because right now, you know, he's just a few centimeters above where the old records were. Now he can, I mean, you know, we spoke to Sandy Morris at USA's, and she thought he can jump 6'3", which, I mean, no one's ever come close to. I don't even know if anyone else is.
630?
Yeah. Yeah. 6 point, yeah.
I guess that would be, what, 21 feet?
You're putting math into my head, which I can't help.
You're not good at that.
No, not just converting on. I can use Google though really well. I mean, that doesn't do much for non-track fans, but this is getting ridiculous. If he breaks the world record again tomorrow, it feels like I just don't know how he could possibly be stopped, you know. And I don't know where this ends. I mean, he seems to be still clicking off. I mean, he's had 3 meets in a row where he just missed a world record, broke a world record, and then broke that world record again. And I think he's going to do it again tomorrow. There's certainly a ceiling for his superstardom, and you know, ultimately, if you're so great, yeah, I guess you could get bored with winning gold medals. Yeah. But the pole vault is still competitive. Kendricks is still good, and some other guys are good. He could have an off meet, and those guys could get hot. So
one thing I appreciate though is because of the combination of youth, born in the States, competing at a college, a Power 5 college, all that combined, and being really good at the world-class level, on a not as mainstream event in the track and field world has really helped pole vault. Because I think there's a lot of people who don't really look up the pole vault results when they look at a track meet.
Sure.
Do that more now because of Mondo
Yeah.
that they wouldn't have done, 5 or 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
it's obvious to say that he's bringing a lot of attention to an event that, I mean, it's tough because that's such a small percentage of people that even ever try it. I mean, we both did track in high school and whatnot, and I'm into college. I mean, I've never picked up a pole vault. It's just is like immediate. You have to have the personality, kind of the reckless personality for it. So it could motivate people to, I mean, that's cliche, but motivate people to try to be the next Mondo Duplantis. He is 1 in a million, though, 1 in a billion, because, he's been doing it since he was 6 years old. And, I don't know, man. This is going to keep going, though. He's going to keep breaking the records. And outdoors could just be a whole lot of fun. The good thing about him is he's kind of not like a Bolt. Like, he competes all the time. Like, he loves competing, and the pole vault obviously different, but that's awesome for track.
Yeah. Speaking of not competing, man, too many people. Me and Kevin talked about this yesterday. So many people not competing at USA's. If you were the commissioner of track and field, I guess, I don't know, the person in charge, would you just cancel the meet and be like, let's do something different? Let's put on a invitational showcase as opposed to calling it a national championship?
I mean, the meet was, obviously the stakes were low. If you're talking specifically this one, I mean, the meet was well attended. Now, classically, track and field has great attendance through moms, dads, boyfriends, girlfriends, and siblings.
And people who went to a collegiate track meet earlier that day.
Yeah, that helps.
Because Don Kirby was literally the day before.
So, as far as that could go, I mean, the meet wasn't lacking on site and excitement. Obviously, the athletes, you could just tell the intensity wasn't quite as high. Would I cancel it?
Because think about the money
No,
that you could
I
save.
wouldn't cancel it.
Think about the money you can save by not having to put on an event like that,
Yeah.
right? Because it costs a lot of money. Put in all the banners and the staffing, the officials, the prize money, all that stuff. And you could take all that money and put it towards bigger prize purse for an actual event that people try to win, which is outdoors.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, it was good promotion for the sport going into the Olympic year. It was on NBC on Saturday. There were still, I think it met the threshold. If we're talking this specific meet, could the economics of it be better? Sure. I'm sure they could, reroute that money and make for a better outdoor meet and whatnot. But as far as the meet itself, it met the threshold of it being an exciting meet. There were some decent distance runners, mid-distance runners. The 400 was terrible, obviously, and the 60s without Coleman were terrible. But
was it more fun to watch Milrose?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
That was more exciting than
Yeah, but I mean, we're not going to have an American record at Milrose without Klosterhoffen, and she's not American, obviously. Everyone besides Purrier wasn't there. But, it was worth it for me to see, even though we didn't get both races, we got Houlihan versus Purrier. We kind of answered that question quite quickly. I'm sure you guys talked about Houlihan now owns El Purrier and has taken over her Social Security number. Just kidding.
Well, Purrier, we thought could have owned Shelby for a good 6 days.
Yeah, it lasted for a while. No, the meet was worth it, I think. Great to have Coleman there. Great to see him, basically be like, I'm in world record shape at all times. It was just a reaffirmation of kind of what we knew already with Houlihan, Hoppel. Hoppel's like, I'm the second best guy in the country right now, and Ajay Wilson's still the best, and it's kind of the breakout of Josh Thompson. So I mean, it's sharpened. If you're an American track and field fan and you're wanting to see people succeed on the medal stands at the Olympics, it's sharpening up the up and comers. And
you're a big spokesperson right here for the USA Indoor Championships.
I mean, yeah, some of it could be perceived, I guess, as just because I was there, and you get kind of caught up in it. So if you're a distance from it, you're like, this is lame, and I'm sure there's some levels of it. But I think you could argue it's a important meet for some athletes that need seasoning when it comes to competing at the Olympic Games. Don Brazier obviously didn't need to be there. He's like, I think I've got my American record, and I know everyone knows I'm gonna be the gold medal favorite, but there's still some importance to indoors, even when it basically doesn't matter outside the meet itself. So, you can make an argument of indoors as a whole. People treat world indoors like it's not important. If the coronavirus didn't kill world indoors, something else probably should have. But it's not that important.
Coronavirus is killing Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo Marathon.
Marathon.
Yeah, I've gone through the stages of obviously all.
So the thing is, the elites are still allowed to run. It's just going to be
Well,
like
it just dramatically reduces the amount of people. It takes
Right.
38,000 people off of that. I'm not an expert, obviously. I know every day I check Twitter or the New York Times and their stories about the coronavirus, and
check temperature of your child,
Yeah.
make sure he doesn't have it. And then,
I mean, seriousness, because there have been a lot of people that have died, 70,000 people infected. Obviously, when you're in our position or most people's position, you're just like, you gotta hope for the best because it's like it's not like I'm gonna be able to do anything to control it. A little scary, but yeah, it's interesting because I think as this continues to go on, and I have no idea what the timetable is, and I think at this point medical officials are just trying to get this under control, not worried about a timetable. Obviously, sorry, I'm drinking a Topo Chico is a poor idea before this. But you wonder if the weeks go on when we're going to start to hear rumblings about concerns about the Olympic Games being in Tokyo. I mean, because we just obviously when you take the connection of the Tokyo Marathon, taking out all non-elite runners, reducing the meet from literally like 38,000 to 200 runners.
Well, how long does
it's scary.
Do these type of virus like the SARS and all? I don't know.
I have no idea. I mean, this is kind of obviously Ebola happened when we were adults, just like 5-6 years ago, and that was like you just hear it on the news and you get moderately concerned and whatever. But this is probably like the second one as adults, where I'm kind of fully aware and paying attention to it. As a kid growing up, with the SARS thing, I just remember hearing about it on the news, and not you don't when you're a kid you don't worry about anything like that.
Because I know it's not track related, but coronavirus. It's like hurting Apple stock.
It's hurting a lot. Yeah, the economy.
Because of businesses out there can't get imports. I don't know the technology.
No, I mean they're trying to move product, and it's obviously
China's like a huge
down.
place for that. Like all the factories.
Yeah, I mean
and
it's really hurting China's economy as far as they can hurt that. What, the world's second biggest economy? First? I don't know. Yeah, it's a scary time. Obviously for runners, just canceling the Tokyo Marathon is a minimal impact, but. Certainly have to be kept on alert when the Olympic Games are going to be there. Now, of course, that is, what are we, 6 months away, less than 6 months away. I have no idea what the timetable to remedy this situation is. Would they have the Olympics right now in Tokyo if it was?
That's what I'm thinking, right?
I feel like no. I mean, all that travel, not just the athletes, but it kind of feels like no. Now, obviously, Wuhan and Tokyo quite a ways away, but
I mean, what they would do is they would just postpone the Olympics.
Yeah,
they would move the Olympics to 2021 and keep it in Tokyo.
We'd have the Olympics, the World Championships.
Imagine
World
if that
Cross.
happened though, if they decided after the Olympic trials, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we're postponing the Olympics for a whole year.
Oof.
Therefore, that means you could just sit on your butt for a whole year and be on an Olympic team. You don't have to there's gonna be people who probably
the qualifiers would stand. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because then you run USA's in 2021, and then the person who gets dead last is like, well, I was good in 2020, so let me go to the Olympics. That would be bad. Would they be like, your Olympic trials win doesn't count anymore. You gotta redo it. We're reholding the Olympic trials.
So basically, you're saying controversies are coming in the world of track and field.
That'll be kind of
we'll
wild.
See, because I kind of thought for like a half a second, I was like, well, a lot of athletes preparing for USA's were anticipating World Indoors and having that fitness. I thought maybe for a second, even when they postponed World Indoors to 2021, I thought they were going to say, no, we're going to keep the qualifiers that make it out of USA's.
Did they make an announcement saying it doesn't count?
I mean, I guess it was obvious to everyone else. No, I mean, not to obviously to the mass media. Maybe they did to the athletes.
I bet you there's going to be athletes who are going to look into the guidelines and be like, it says for the...
Yeah, if they didn't fix the language.
For the Nanjing Games, and they're in 2021. So, Bryce Hop, all the top. Who got second in 15? Nick Harris.
Nick Harris.
He's going to Worlds in 2021.
Wait, does he have the standard though? Do you have to have the standard? I don't know if he has the standard. I mean, we can revisit that. He's only run 3:58 and 3:39. I don't know if he has. Anyways, regardless, I
hope that happens.
Yeah.
Someone's got to come up with a lawsuit with being like, hey, technically I get to go.
I mean, I just thought, I know World Indoors and U.S. Indoors are small beans events, but I just thought for a second, it's like they canceled it kind of so late, it was such a late notice. I thought, maybe they'll honor these things, but you can't really do that a year in advance. I mean, the track changes so frequently. But with the if it was an Olympic trials thing where they canceled the Olympics or postponed the Olympics after the trials, that could be quite an interesting thing. We hope to God that does not happen. But as this draws on,
I kind of hope it happens. It would be awesome.
But it would be involved with the coronavirus. Let's respect the people. Hopefully they get that under control.
The reason wouldn't be awesome, but the result would be awesome.
I don't think anyone, maybe not, anticipated that this would stretch into, canceling canceling the Tokyo Marathon. And obviously, when you say Tokyo, you worry, you worry about the Olympics. I mean, Tokyo Marathon's on March 1st, so obviously they don't have to plan to have this solved in the next 2 weeks.
Think about this: if they do postpone the Olympics, you could win three global titles in 1 year.
You think
you
they would
win
postpone
World Indoors, and then you win the Olympic Games, and then you win World Outdoors in Eugene.
I don't know
if
we have the schedule for 2021 yet, but that would be insane. I mean, I would be all for that. That'd be a little hectic, but yeah, Olympics, World Championships, World Indoor Championships, World Cross.
Oh yeah, that World Half Marathon maybe.
I mean, let's
World
do it.
Relays will be back.
World Relay.
They would 2021 World Relays.
Oh man,
some 100 or 400 meter runners is gonna rack up some titles,
some 4x4s,
some mixed 4x4s.
There you go, man. You could win like 4 golds in 1 year.
Dude,
yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we keep 2020 vision and they still have the Olympics. Because I'm just saying, bigger point, I feel like if this stretches on for another like 2 months, which I have no idea how long the timetable is, we're going to start to hear concerns of what are we doing with the Olympics? Because, it's coming up quicker than we think.
But, like, is it just because Japan's so close to China?
Well,
if the Olympics were in Calgary.
I would assume, yeah. I mean, obviously, in the next month or so, the World Half Championships are in Poland, and there's been no discussion about postponing those. Yeah. So, yes, I have to assume proximity has something to do with it. Maybe they were anticipating in the Tokyo Marathon a lot of Chinese runners coming over. I have no idea. I haven't looked into that deep enough to know. But yes, I would think geography has a lot to do with that.
Dude, that's wild.
All right.
Dude, you're ripping off words 100.
Yeah, I'm going fast.
Words
Sorry.
per second.
Well, I'm drinking coffee at the same time.
Coffee and Topo Chico. Is that your?
That's a classic duo. What did you and Kevin talk about? Anything about our New Mexico trip? Did you guys recap that?
I mean, we talked about, not really.
We talked
what's something that happened that wasn't like the meat related?
Yeah, we talked to Matt Centrowitz, for about an hour and a half. Whoa. That was cool. After we did an interview with him, he did a workout by himself at the New Mexico track. That was pretty cool. He was doing like 300s. I got a short clip. We didn't like get his permission to film or anything, and we were doing a Brooks Beast thing, but I took a short clip of him and I just like watched it in slow-mo. It was like perfect form. 300.
You have that as like your screensaver now?
Yeah. It's just like for me to like memorize now. And so
I just imagine you're at home, the lights are off, you're watching it, and your wife walks in, like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm working.
Well, last night, my wife likes to go to bed before I do, and so I was out watching Narcos on Netflix, and I was texting Kevin, and we've been joking back and forth about the Lopez Lemong Paul Chelimo thing, and he sent me a text saying like, oh, Lopez, because Paul Chelimo kind of killed it the other day or yesterday or 2 days ago or whatever, and he was like, whatever, I give up, bro, I'm whatever, but I still have more medals than you. But then Lemong had an Instagram yesterday about him like on the massage table and still talking about chihuahuas and whatnot. And so Kevin said, he didn't send me that, but he said, Lemong's still going. I was like, wow. So I went to Lemong's Instagram and saw that. And then in the comments, someone said, obviously like tongue in cheek, but it was funny. Somebody said, I have a chihuahua. Chihuahuas can be kind of fierce, which I thought was hilarious. So I meant to send Kevin that, but I sent it to my wife. And she was like, what is this? And then she was like, why are you texting Kevin at like 10 p.m.? I mean, Kevin just texts a lot. That's all I can say. He texts me.
I text Kevin whenever the Spurs are winning or losing because it triggers him.
It does, yes. That's a safe bet for him. He says he's given up on the NBA this year. I doubt it. But
he says that every 3 weeks, and then he's back in.
Okay. So, I get it. Sports fan here. I understand. What were we talking about? Yeah, so we talked to...
Centro. You were watching repeats of his form.
Yes, he's good.
While texting Kevin about it.
Yeah, exactly. I have a very interesting life. We talked to him about shoes. Interesting stories. I hesitate to share.
Guy?
I don't think so. Obviously he's a mid-distance runner, so he's, going to be trainers.
But does he have like a Vaporfly spike that he's going to run in?
He, I think, is a bigger fan of kind of Nike has that newish spike that people have been calling the cheater spikes. Obviously he didn't say that, but they have that foam pocket at the top. I saw Josh Thompson wearing those at USA's. He doesn't...
Clearly. Based on analysis, because he won, he cheated.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think Centro wears those. He doesn't. I don't think he particularly cares for them as much as his other shoes. And he also mentioned Donovan Brazier doesn't wear those. So if people want to say people always want to say, oh, it's to do with the shoes or the spikes. He was really pointing to the fact that Brazier ran 142.3 and he didn't wear. He just wore the spikes with just the plate and the upper. So. That was interesting. We talked about Alan Webb's career.
Do you know how they could solve that? This whole shoes shit, all this problem?
Well, they made rules.
But there's rules of bull.
Yeah.
If you really, they're always going to be different brands doing different things. So if you truly wanted to solve the problem, just force everyone to wear the same shoe.
They could do that. That would be a little bit of an issue since shoe sponsors are the way for income for athletes.
What they do is you got to wear the shoe, but you can put your sponsor logo on it.
Oh, who would make the shoe then?
The shoe will be made by a third party.
Oh, wow.
Who shall not be named. It'll be made by
Elon Musk. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a bunch of Tesla shoes with your New Balance or Nike logo. That would be, no one could complain. You won't have someone who gets fourth.
That would be nice.
Crying wolf about who got second and third.
Fantasy world. Some people would still find a way to complain. Oh, I'm a non-responder. He's a responder to these spikes.
Oh, I need shoes for my foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everyone's always going to find a reason to justify difference in results.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yes. No, that's track and field in a nutshell. It's gotten obviously dramatically worse. I can't wait to go to the trials in just a week and a half, and I'm hoping to get my hands on some Alpha Flies. And
you're gonna go
shell out the cash,
or I thought you were gonna steal something.
No, I wasn't gonna steal. I got to become a Nike Plus member. I think that violates some journalistic things, but I don't really pretend to be that. So, anyways, we're gonna try to find the shoes. Centro's as people always say, super talkative. Even with us non-elite athletes, we chatted for quite a while. Talked about Alan Webb's career. He was talking about a post he made on Instagram a couple weeks ago where people always talk about the 01 class of U.S. distance runners, Hall, Webb, and Ritz as the best ever, but he was pointing out, it's 07's pretty good because he's got myself, you got Jaeger.
Got myself.
I forget who else, but he was saying look at the medal count and whatnot, and we were kind of just talking about why some people would think about that, and I kind of,
how do you, is it the best class based on what they do?
In high school or
in college or pro, or is it based on what they do in high school?
I think that's the debate, right? I think it needs to be high school, right? Webb's the greatest high school runner ever. So as far as track, and there was just that rivalry. There wasn't that rivalry between Centro and Jaeger like there was. So. But
the thing about, you say Webb's the greatest high school runner as ever. He's the greatest miler ever, but is he the greatest high school runner ever?
I just think when you run 3:53 and then you broke 4 indoors as well, and the mile's just such a ubiquitous event that everyone understands. I think if you surveyed everyone, on Twitter, I think people would say that Webb is the greatest ever. Of course, Ritz was better in cross country, but you just look at the PRs. I think if you're going to go for it, you don't just want to be he won this many Foot Locker titles. He qualified for Foot Locker 4 times. Because people even today do that. I'm not that impressed by that. But when you run...
So it should only be times.
Yeah, I think so. Cross country is obviously important, so Ritz is going to have a say in it and kind of stand to be knocked back if we just talk about PBs. But his point was saying not necessarily talking shit on the 01 class, but just saying if you look back at it in hindsight, look what we've done. It's not what was the best NBA draft of all time at the moment. It's what's the best NBA draft that produced the best players, right?
He's trying to subtly say hey, Ritz and Webb, you didn't win medals.
No, he had all respect to these guys, and he, Kevin was saying, I think the other day, is he was an encyclopedia of things, remembering times he ran and times other people ran, and watching Webb and doing this. Obviously helps having your dad so involved in the sport, before you, but he's just posing it as a thing. But it is interesting to think about that if you really, really follow the sport for a decade or more, everyone talks about the big three, Ritz, Webb, and Hall. and it's fair to say 07, I forget who else he was maybe mentioning. Maybe Pesquedra was in there. I mean, obviously, it doesn't come close to Centro and Jaeger.
Is there anyone that recently, is there like in the 2010s class?
Well, he said in his DMs that people are like, obviously talking about Nico a lot.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is going to be the greatest. And he's like, let's let them get to college first. And, but he was talking, now that I'm thinking about it, we talked about so much. It was, he's just...
I mean, if Drew Hunter and Fisher happened to be in the same year, then that might have been...
People, I think, are, he didn't... No, I think we did talk about it. He was talking about the 2020 class, and, like, a lot of high schoolers getting into his DMs and talking about Nico. And he's like, yeah, I actually had to, like, sit down and watch Nico's workout because, like, so many people were talking about it. And he's like, this guy ran a 4:10 in practice. Like, what the hell is he doing running 4:10? And he's like, it's impressive, but it's like, why is he running 4:10 when that's not his 3K pace? Like, that's crazy. And I made the point, I was like, man, he can't get to Mike Smith soon enough. And he's like, yeah, nothing just, talking about nothing against his high school coach specifically, but, when you have such a talent, you're like, get them to a professional coach. And obviously, Mike Smith's primarily collegiate coach, but I think no one can deny he's one of the best coaches in the world. And it's just like, so many high school coaches burn these athletes out. And, we kind of proof is in the pudding of talking about all these, you look at just specifically the high school sub-4 milers, like only 2 of the last 5 have really panned out.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, Fisher and Hunter.
You
can't, Maton's done.
Yeah.
The one kid that
Slagowski.
is...
Remember him?
Yeah, he's done for it. And then, who else am I... Reed Brown.
Reed Brown.
It started out good at Oregon, but I don't think anyone thinks...
like just a solid...
He's a guy. He's just a guy. No offense to him, but he's a guy. So, it doesn't... Centro's point was like, they got to prove it. But, he was like, no, Nico Young's probably a superstar for the time, for the future. And then we were talking about Culpepper. That was before he ran 4 flat. But, he's just like saying, there's a lot. Every year you could argue, almost every year you could argue, oh, wow, this is the best high school class. But
how good do you think Nico will be immediately?
Well, obviously.
Like, what place do you think he'll get at cross? For perspective,
I would say
Fisher was top 20.
Yeah, he's easily that. I think he's easily that. It just depends on, obviously, if he stays healthy and if the training, if the training builds off of what he's already done. I don't think at all he's, like, burnt out at Newberry Park. I think he runs a relatively low amount of mileage, but his intensity in workouts, very, very high. Yeah. So it'll just be interesting to obviously anything is interesting, but it'll be I'm curious to see because we saw with Drew, who's the freshman this year on NAU? Drew Bosley, sorry. He was a superstar coming in, but like he had a couple tough races and was kind of forgotten about. He got his butt handed to him at Arcadia last year by Cole Sprout and Nico Young. And then he came in to NAU and all of a sudden was like 4 levels higher than he came in. If that happens, I don't think it will, but if that happens to Nico Young, he's going to be a top 5 guy.
Yeah, sure.
So, but if he just stays the same, I think he's a top 15 guy. He's he's better than Grant Fisher was at this age. But it's almost like with high schoolers, when you get so good in high school that everyone's like, well, how can they possibly keep this up? Yeah. So we'll see. I think he transcends that, though.
One thing that, speaking of cross country, so while you were at USA's, like watching all the pro races, I was keeping track of the college scene going down, watching stuff was happening at Husky and BU and all this stuff. Low key, Arkansas is getting a lot of like good guys getting to go into cross country. They just had a guy transfer from Louisville run 13:41 at Husky. Chabosa.
Yeah.
Throwing Gilbert Boyd, who's a sub 13:40 guy. Obviously, Amoyne Kemboy, who's a 13:30 guy who's redshirting. That's 3. And then the one that really surprises, Matt Young, ran sub 13:50. So that's 4 guys with 3 under 13 in the 13:40 sub.
Yeah.
1 13:50, and then they have 2 transfers coming in. A JUCO guy who was runner-up, who was 4th at JUCO Cross.
Which was
Andrew Cabet.
Okay, I don't know.
He won the year before, and then they have a British guy coming in. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they have all these guys forming to really go hard, and they're going to be a podium team. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat an NAU, but I thought it was kind of fascinating seeing these transfers, seeing this guy, Chesbaz, how do you say it?
Chabosin, I think.
Chabosin, who's like a 14:10 guy, comes in and he's running 30-second PR.
I mean, you had to figure they had a plan, obviously, to not stand pat where they were. I mean, you went out there, in September or October, and it was like, once I realized, like, Boyd was redshirting, it was like, oh, wow, they're really bad. Like, and every team has like a down year.
But that's going to pay off. Huge.
But yeah, they're obviously going to be massively improved. It's never too early to preview a little cross country. I'm just so intrigued next year because just so much of the kind of the status quo changes with the race being on such a unique course in Stillwater. I mean, I don't obviously NAU will still be the best probably, but God, just thinking about that NAU team is just ridiculous right now. But yeah, certainly Arkansas will be better than they were. I don't know where they finished at NCAA.
They were like 25th.
Yeah, I mean, which wasn't bad for them because basically their level of talent was pretty low. But yeah, the good programs are always. Chris Bucknam obviously had a plan, so this is good. And the plan was let's get a lot of East African transfers. So can't blame the guy. Yeah.
It worked, man.
Did you guys talk about Coleman yesterday?
A little bit. I mean, I don't really get up much for 60-meter dashes.
Not an event. They don't have a 60 in the Olympics.
There's no 60-meter Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see. I'll get more excited if he starts truly flirting with like extremely fast 100-meter times.
Yeah.
But he's basically running the same thing he did last year and the year before.
That's true.
In the low 640, sub 640. I think it's going to translate to being a consistent 9.8, 9.7 high guy.
Sure.
Question is he going to start flirting with being a consistent 9.7 low guy and flirt with 9.6 high?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some of it may be the lack of competition, as Usain Bolt said.
Yeah.
He's like, Coleman's already got it in the bag. I think at the 100, you kind of play to your competition. I know he ran a PR at Doha, but if Lyles kind of comes up on him, because we forget last year they raced once in the 100, but
I don't think Lyles is going to do the 100.
I mean, he said he is. Well, I'm just saying,
100%, or is I'm thinking it?
I mean, everyone says 100% when it's like a year out, right? But we'll see.
I feel like Lyles would be smarter just to be like, what's better, winning the 200 and getting second in the 100, or just winning the 200? And people being like, I would have won the 100.
Yeah, that's a terrible way to think about it, but. I still think getting another medal is good. Now, you can make the argument, that he doesn't want to take any L's to Christian Coleman, but but you have to also look at it as is it worth the risk to say if I beat him though, and then I obviously win the 100, then it's because I think he's in. I think Coleman gets a little bit. It's I don't want to say scared, but he's going to know when Noah Lyles is in the race and say last time we raced in the 100, he beat me. Now, that was in a May or April race. We get down to August, and Coleman's a lot sharper. They ran 9.8s for their opener last year. I'm not convinced that if Coleman, with his start, that Lyles can keep up and run in the 9.7s. Maybe he can. He's ran 19.5 in the 200. But basically my long point is saying I think the reason why we haven't seen Coleman run faster is because he has no peer and he's by himself. I think if he's pressed to the line, he's a 9.6 guy.
Do you think either of these guys can be within 0.05 of Bolt's records?
I think the 200 is pretty close to untouchable. I really do. 19.19 is absurd. 9.58 also absurd, but I think Coleman has the ability to get in the 9.6s, and then it's just a matter, okay, so can he get to 9.63? Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah. He's the fastest 60 guy. I know Bolt didn't run the 60, but I mean, he's the fastest 60 guy, the top 4 times all time, and he's only 23. I know sprinting's a young game, but he's so good at if his start is there and everything else takes care of itself with fitness. Of course he's that good to sniff it. I think 9.58 is a much more attainable record for Christian Coleman than 19.19 is for Lyles.
Did you see the video of the Indian bull runner?
Oh, running 9.50.
Running 9. Dude, this happens so much on the internet where it's the same routine. Non-track world talks about track world. Mm-hmm. Track world responds with, "We don't get no respect. You don't know our sport." And
I don't get that take.
But that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when what's his name?
Logan Paul?
No. Yeah, sure. But no, the Kansas City guy.
Oh, Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Tyreek Hill. No. It started with like Nick Chubb runs like a fast 40-yard dash.
Yeah.
It's coming up in a week. We're gonna see a bunch of
combine
stuff, and all the track sprinters are gonna be like, no disrespect to the track world. Real running is here, and it's just like this circle back and forth of like, I think it's a shy for attention win, right?
It's a short man syndrome, right?
Yeah.
You like track athletes, very sensitive about people coming in and thinking they can be fast. Of course, there's other people that are fast other than people who just wear spikes and go to track meets.
Yeah.
Like Tyreek Hill is fast. Now, is he as fast as Noah Lyles right now? No, he doesn't have the fitness. And is he as fast as Christian Coleman? No. Could he be a good sprinter? Probably, though. Look at his high school times. He's still fit. I mean, people talk about the fact that he's like out of shape. Okay, yes, there's a difference between playing in the NFL. But I think the guy's pretty fit. He's a wide receiver who runs downfield every single time.
I just thought it was funny, this Indian guy who's having pull him. He's running barefoot in the mud.
I mean, hey, if he survived that without his freaking like hamstrings or quads just getting ripped out of his body, that's...
But I looked into it. I think it's a hand time, and it's also the last 100 meters of a like 120 meter
So he got a bull running start?
Yeah, so running start while being pulled by a bull. Mm-hmm. Which makes me think, imagine if Bolt had a running start getting pulled by a bull. Mm-hmm. Bolt's running like, what, 8-9?
That's tough. I mean, you got to get the right bull. Do they make bulls that fast?
I think you can make anything these days.
Speaking of animals running fast, we were at the Albuquerque track, the New Mexico track.
What does that have to do with animals?
No, it does. Coming out. Hold on. And Drew Wendell was there. He's still trying to get healthy, but
what is that animal? Still don't know the animal.
He had his dogs. He brought two dogs, and they tried to get him to run 100. They had two dogs, similar to, I don't know what type of dogs they were, but you just see them and be like, there's two dogs.
And talking about illegal dog racing going on?
Yeah, exactly. And when they got his two dogs together, they couldn't go down the track. They were distracted. And they like ran in the infield, and in fact, one of them almost ran into Centro, but which is pretty funny. But they got one of them, and hand timed, the dog ran 10-2, 100. So I mean, they do have four legs, obviously, but I thought it was interesting. I was like, man, 10-2 is pretty good.
10-2 is pretty good.
Yeah, four legs,
Can't wait to see Nick Simmons try to break in a viral YouTube video.
Sign up, subscribe.
Dude, you gotta respect Nick Simmons' game.
Dude, he's hustling. I mean, he's got a good editor. We met him when he did the 40 on the 40s. He's out there grinding though every day, man, making videos. I was bummed that we couldn't give him a viral clip with that, but he tends to do better when he does like shoe reviews or races like middle schoolers or hey, you do what you got to do, man.
Dude, speaking of young kids, during the dunk contest, did you watch it?
We were at dinner. I watched I watched it on Twitter though.
Well, one of the dunks was having TikTok girls like dance on the.
Sounds about right.
It was so bizarre. It had nothing to do with the dunk. He's brought these TikTok girls.
Who was it?
On these famous TikTok girls.
No. Who was the dunker?
Aaron Gordon.
Oh, okay.
The TikTok girls dance. I'm just like surprised at that.
Hey man, TikTok's for the young people. I mean, my wife's really into TikTok.
Really?
She likes to watch it. It's like the new Vine and everything. I
see a lot of track kids doing it.
It's cool. Yeah, it started out as an app of people like lip syncing, and then it's, I don't know. People are kind of treat it like Snapchat or Vine now. So, did you ever get into Vine?
No.
No. Yeah. Vine got killed a couple years ago, but it's kind of like that. I mean, most people are trying to do it to be funny.
Yeah.
Or it's like girls lip syncing.
But it seems like it's everyone trying to be on pretending they're doing Broadway musical clips.
Well, that's what it did start out as it's like a lip syncing app.
Yeah.
That's what it started out as, and then people have gradually like converted it to humor and obviously cultural references. Yeah. I know it's where a lot of musicians kind of get their start because their songs will be included in a lip syncing thing, and then it'll become like more ubiquitous. But
it becomes a meme,
yeah. Memes are art, man.
Yeah, a lot of track people are like doing like distant runner when this sprinter does this.
I mean, I understand that to the people that are
problems,
new.
This.
Yeah, people that are new to track and field and young people that want to relate to that and aren't going to relate to Craig Ingalls necessarily. They're going to relate to trying to break 5 minutes in the mile and going to your track meet while bringing a ham sandwich. But so I get that, but man, every time I watch those, I just want to like launch my phone into the wall. It's just like so done. I mean, it's probably because I'm getting up towards 30, but it's just you gotta allow people to be 15 years old sometimes. And I guess
never made a TikTok? We should make should we have a FloTrack TikTok channel?
I mean, we'd have to.
What would we do on it?
You tell me, man. I have no idea.
I mean,
maybe we can get a partnership with TikTok.
Yeah, we'll turn the podcast into a FloTrack. You can't. No, it's like a 6-second clip type thing. It is basically Vine. It's
Vine. I mean, it can be longer. I mean, Vine had that like hard and fast 6-second rule.
Yeah.
This is not that. You can do that. And the editing, it's very easy to edit videos. Obviously, like editing used to be a skill that like people had to learn. Like now on your phone, you can just be like incorporate graphics easily.
Yeah.
And so it's going to put a lot of editors out of work. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's interesting.
So this weekend, there's not much track going on, right?
No, I think we're all looking forward to the trials.
DMRs is happening.
Oh,
right?
At
Alex Wilson and FloTrack. Dude, that flat.
At Camel City or
yeah,
I mean,
that is
JDL.
Bull. That is some BS.
You don't subscribe to the FloTrack?
Well, like it just doesn't make it. They
Listen, I just said let's put a FloTrack on top of Mount Everest, and you can jog a 9-minute mile. If you can survive, you can jog a 9-minute mile, and you're ready to go to NCAA.
And then you're sub 4.
And then you got a sub 4. No, I do tend to think that the FloTrack ones are a little ridiculous, but
How did they come up with it? That's what I want to know.
I mean,
like there's clearly
basically what happened is somebody probably proposed an idea to NCAA, a coach or I don't know if it's a sports scientist or somebody proposed the idea to the NCAA, and the coaches wanted it probably when maybe bank tracks weren't as common, and said we need to cut off time if you're going to be converting into a bank track. Because they're certainly not as fast. But I mean, somebody you just do some measurements and talk about what's the momentum or the.
But it's like weird. It's like a 0.9 or a 0.84. Like it's a weird percentage that they just like say this is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, it is hard to run on a 200-meter flat track, but I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you have to have it, so I get it. It's kind of annoying, basically. I mean, like, what if there were different dimensions of outdoor track?
I just thought about this. In order to equal the playing field for flat track and bank track, so it's kind of similar to the Vaporfly thing, right? So you had like the 4% Vaporfly, right?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, we just add a conversion factor to everyone that runs in Vaporflies.
You think? Could we do that?
So they add a conversion if you want on a flat track to make it like a banked. We'll add conversion times to your shoes.
That could be tough. I mean, I think we're forgetting that some other shoes also have technology in them. They also contain carbon fiber plates. But man, but would everybody that's not in those get the advantage? So you can run on a flat track at 7,000 feet in non-Vaporflies. So you get everything would be regulated to a bank track at sea level on Vaporflies.
Yes.
So okay.
So it's going to there'll be a hashtag, an @sign, a question mark, and an exclamation point next to every time in T-first.
Only nerds know what you're referring to there. But yes. I would be. I mean, I feel like, and maybe not just Vaporflies, but I feel like we're not that far away from it, right? With everyone thinking Nike's suspect, and so everyone's gonna. It hasn't really fully infiltrated the NCAA. It tried a little bit when the cross-country meet in the Northeast this past fall was on the roads, and people ran in Vaporflies. People thought that altered around the results, but I feel like it's fully ingrained itself in professional track, but. It hasn't done that yet, but we're not far off from that world yet, where people are going to talk about he ran that on a flat track and cheater spikes, and then so hey, it's not as crazy as you think, man. I don't know, but I do think other brands are going to have shoes eventually, hopefully, so we can stop talking about this, that are at least comparable, so we don't have to have shoe conversions. I mean, I know I've heard some people talking about this. People are like, well, what would Kipchoge be without the shoe technology? And so hopefully.
Do you think there's like an 80-year-old or 90-year-old out there being like, these kids complaining about Vaporflies? Meanwhile, they got Mondo surface tracks, and I do it on cinders. Like,
yeah, that's right. Everyone brings that up. I think even Centrowitz brought that up as like, the track the track is always changing. It's not like they're just going to remain pat. They didn't do that back to Sender, and we changed it. It's always going to change.
We had banks on indoor.
So times are. It's not just like the spikes. It's not just the fact that there's carbon fiber plates and new designs and whatnot. It's also has to do with the surface underfoot. There's so many other factors. Obviously, the road records I can understand people are frustrated with, but there's more to that than people are. They just want to say it's all the shoes.
They should do like the sipping Kermit Frog sipping tea meme.
Oh, yeah.
They should do that with like Jesse Owens, like, oh, you're upset about carbon fiber plates, and it's like I had to do it in like these weird ass spikes. Have you seen it? Like there was like a video that Andre DeGrasse like ran in like Jesse Owens type spikes.
Yes, I remember that.
It was insane.
What did he run? Like 10.5?
I don't know. But it was just like leather wrapped around his foot.
Yeah. It looked painful.
Yeah.
It looked like a tap dancing shoe. Yeah, it could not have been ideal.
But so we were talking. I got distracted with the FloTrack version because that's everyone wakes up every day, sips their coffee, thinks about, calculates their FloTrack conversion.
Yeah,
that's what we all do.
Yeah. All my in college track I ran all on FloTrack, so I got to go back and figure.
You got to lower your PBs.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
You're now a sub 5 miler?
I've always been a sub 5 miler, but yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah.
But the DMR, right? So everyone's qualifying. Who do you think is the favorite?
Yeah, we talked about this in New Mexico. On the men's side, I'll just say the women right off the bat, I think it's BYU, as long as Orton runs the DMR. Yeah. Obviously, that's dependent on that with Arkansas not being as strong. Obviously, Oregon is the champion.
I think Washington might be pretty good.
They were a few seconds behind, obviously, BYU. Men's side, it's the classic, do you go with the team who won it last year, who has the best, probably the best, one of the best kickers in the country, and the 1,500 champion in Yard and Goose, or do you go with the collegiate record holders? And as Kevin pointed out, it's like we were talking like, how does Oregon gotten so good? And then part of it is Cooper Tier being a lot better, but some of it's too is like, well, they got Ben Thomas. He was good at coaching DMRs at Virginia Tech. So it's a good point. I mean, I think it's clear you go with Notre Dame still. I mean,
but the thing is, Notre Dame doesn't have as good of their 800-meter guys, like a 149 guy.
Which
they don't have a 400 guys, and then they don't really have a good 1,200-meter guy. Like who
were their guys last year? They didn't have all upperclassmen last year.
I think one of them was. I could be wrong, but I think their next best miler is like a 405 guy.
Okay. I mean, as long as you can run like 253. I mean, maybe not
a 405 guy running 253.
Okay.
I think there's a good chance that Notre Dame might be not like. I think there's a chance Nagus gets it like
well behind.
4 seconds back, and he's gonna have to hope.
Who's gonna go after it though at altitude is what I would. I mean, no one wants to. I mean. I just think Tier is good enough where on a really good day, he split 355.
Yeah. Will Tier even do it? Will Tier run the 5K instead?
Has he run a 5 yet this year?
No, he'll probably do it at MPSF.
Oh, okay. I assume he'll do he'll do the DMR.
So you're saying it's just a Notre Dame Oregon show?
I'm trying to think who else could possibly. I mean, obviously Stanford was there last year, but they don't have Fisher. They're out.
They have Radcliffe if you can get healthy.
I mean, he's just not as good. I mean, he's not a
Osberg.
Wisconsin not probably going to do it. And NAU's not going to do it.
They might.
Really?
But I don't think they'll do it.
That wouldn't
with
be their best
team.
point. Yeah.
They'll do it with like a B team if they can get a team in.
I mean,
because they're going to want to keep Grijalva, Day, healthy.
I mean, they're trying to win the meet. It's smart to try to get what you would try to get like Quacks involved in.
So they had a guy just run 4 flat. Cade Burks ran
which
4
was
flat.
Super random. Yeah.
I mean, so
not random. I don't mean to insult him, but
him and Quacks, and then just they have a guy who can run 47 in the 4. So you never know.
And who would they put in the 8?
Another miler.
Okay.
Anyway, but I think they're like there's gonna be like a team like Villanova or like Georgetown. They always kind of show up and
yeah, but I mean they'll be there. I mean, I guess Indiana.
Yeah. Indiana. Iowa State. They actually, Festus Legat, he can kick.
Rooms.
They got Rooms. They got Daniel Nixon. They got a lot of good 800-meter guys.
And they're not gonna anchor Kirk out, are they?
No, I don't think because Kirk will do 5. But they're anchor Legat, Festus Legat, who's legit.
Yeah.
So I think
I could easily see it like Notre Dame dominates and even in Oregon slips back. No, I'm not just trying to hate on Oregon. I know people think like, oh, people just hate on Oregon. But yes, I know they broke the record, but
it was a weak record in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
I think 10 years from now, that Oregon's time will be the 10th best time.
Yeah, it was weird that it stood for 12 years. I mean, people had scared it, and there have been a lot of. It's obviously tough to string 4 guys together, but part of it is like the event gets tactical.
Yeah.
I mean, we know a lot of records get broken at NCAA's, maybe not distance records, but relay records seem like that. It would be ripe for like breaking collegiate records at NCAA's, but everything gets tactical, and that's the thing. It's the same reason wany 16 minutes hasn't been broken in the 4x-mile at Penn Relays. I mean, it's just that it's records that are soft because not many people are able to chase them at NCAA's. So we'll see. I would put my money on the Goose and what they can come up with. I mean, it's just a typical thing. Who has the best anchor is going to win. And it's. I think we go back to 2014 maybe with Stanford and Michael
Atchu.
Like, it feels like the last time somebody they did the strategy of just running away from everyone. It's just super hard to do.
And they did it at altitude.
Maybe, yeah, right. They did it at Albuquerque. Maybe Oregon tries that. We'll see. I mean, they did do that 924 all by themselves, but tough to do it in NCAA's.
Texas, maybe.
Texas is. I mean, they got
Worley. They got
somebody. I didn't watch it, but somebody said he fell.
Yeah, he fell with like 250 meters to go in a mile, which is a big deal because this was at Husky. Worley doesn't have a time yet.
Oh, shoot.
So he's going to have to try to
do it at Big 12.
Time trial Big 12s.
Yeah, after a prelim.
And Worley's like, he's like Texas is in the running to win the meet. So they need him to be in the mile to score, anywhere between 5 and 3 points. So.
Yeah. But Texas, obviously, 400 strength. I'm sure they could find an 800 guy. They have that freshman, Creighton.
Who's 359 guy. Yeah. And then you put Worley on the anchor.
So, yeah, they certainly could do it. I mean, Worley's kick is nowhere near Nagoose or even, I don't think, Tears, but yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah.
But they could put a 45-second guy on the 400.
Yes.
And Notre Dame's going to put a 49. That's 4 seconds.
Yes. You put Jonathan Jones, obviously that makes a huge difference. It'd be awesome if the DMR was you could distribute it any way you want. You could have any number of bodies that you wanted, Because obviously the
any number? Like you could do like 12 guys?
Yeah, and the handoffs would slow things down, but, Texas could put Mekhi Harris on there, Maybe they could run a couple 400s for the 800. That's what I'd be in support of.
But like unlimited people?
Yeah. Just on your roster, of course. But if you
have to tap it out. Like I'm going to run 50 people.
Well, yeah, but the handoffs would slow you down. I mean, suppose you're trying to run say everyone has to run a lap. The handoffs would.
The best solution would be like having everyone run at 200.
Yeah. I'm just saying Yeah, you're right. Okay, no, they'd beat milers. Never mind. Okay. Well, good. I got my dumb take out of the way at the end.
I always think about unique. What would win? What is it? A 4x100 or 2x200?
I think a 2x200, right? If you could get 2 guys, So the best you could hope for on the college level would be
and assuming you have to follow exchange zone rules, right? So
yeah, so you feel like the best you could hope for in a college setting for a 2x200 would be like 40 seconds, right? Maybe a little faster, but you have to think about the second guy's not coming out of blocks, so. It feels like that would be the best, like 40 seconds, and obviously they run faster in the 4x1, so maybe a 4x1 would win.
Because they'll run 200, yeah.
Yeah.
But you assume running start, 39 seconds, whereas a 4x1 would run like 37.
30, I guess 30, because that's the new,
So maybe 200, so then what about, all right, how about 150, and 100?
The old 3x...
2x150,
1 by
versus
100.
A 4x1. Just the idea that, is there, an extra length at 100-meter on it? I'm going all over the place. How long have we been talking?
58 minutes. Are we trying to go for an hour here?
Dude, we can call it.
We can call it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get back to you tomorrow on the 2x150, 1x100 relay. Always popular with the fans, I got to believe. Punch some numbers and figure out what it is. But, yeah, I think we can call it.
Yeah. But thanks for listening. This is FloTrack Podcast. Try and do these every day, weekday. Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you're a fan. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.
Bye.